Hey, what's up YouTube? It's a Blue Golf Ball today with another Pokemon TCG online video, and today I have for you guys a Landorus EX deck teaming up with Crobat and a couple other team-ups here. The main attacker is going to be Landorus EX. This deck was given to us by Crobat. I apologize if I couldn't pronounce your name correctly, but yeah, he gracefully gave us this deck list. I have a little bit of a modification to it, but otherwise this is going to be a pretty fun deck to play. And it's competitive too, so if you guys are looking to win some tournaments, if you guys got a couple Landorus that you want to utilize, this could be a deck for you. Landorus EX is a pretty big Pokemon, 180 HP fighting type, so typically, fighting types are weak against water or grass. In this case, with Landorus EX, we're weak against grass, or water. And we do have a 3 retreat cost, but we do have lightning resistance, which is really nice. The attack we want to focus on is Hammerhead. You guys probably know this by now. Landorus EX has been around for quite a while, since 2012 in Boundaries Crossed. The Hammerhead attack has always been really good throughout each era here with each passing by of sets. We have 30 damage done to one of your opponent's bench Pokemon. And then, of course, you do 30 damage to the active. And then we got things like Muscle Band and Strong Energy that can increase Hammerhead from, 30 to 50 to 70. And then with Fighting Stadium, 90 damage. That is just insane. All for 1 energy. And then we have Land's Judgment, which could be a very good cleanup attack. You gotta discard your fighting energy, but hey, if you got 2 prizes to go and your opponent has an EX out there, why not just whip this Land's Judgment and get it over with? So, the other partner here is Hawlucha, a little 70 HP fighting type Pokemon. The ability with Shining Spirit, it's pretty good and pretty bad. Resistance and weakness doesn't matter, so things like, Darkrai EX, we can't actually hit it for weakness, but things like Yveltal, we can't, we can avoid the resistance, so there you have it. We have, for 1 energy, we can only attack Pokemon EX. We got Flying Press here doing 60 damage. If your opponent's active Pokemon is an EX Pokemon, if they're not, then it does nothing. So, once again, different type weakness here with Lightning and then resisting Fighting, which is good, and then we have the 0 retreat cost, which makes it very convenient. As for Lucario EX, I forgot to mention a third weakness for a lot of these fighting types. Not a lot, but some of them are Psychic. And we have a 2 retreat cost for Lucario, which can be pretty heavy at times. But Lucario has 3 different attacks, which is pretty cool. We got Missile Jab here. This attack isn't affected by resistance, which is really nice. So we can always guarantee at least 30 damage on Yveltal EX or something rather, unless the Yveltal is using a hard charm. But we got Corkscrew Smash, and then pretty good for drawing cards and having some consistencies there, right? Yeah, it is a good. I suppose it's a good Seismitoad counter if you need some cards you can draw. You gotta have some cards, and it's not weak to water like Landorus is, so it could be pretty good right there as well. And then finally we got the 4/4/4 line of Crobat here with Surprise Bite. When you play this Pokemon from your hand, evolve one of your Pokemon and you have in play, you can put 3 damage counters on any one of your opponent's Pokemon. We'll never use Skydive unless, of course, we really have to. We do have Sneaky Bite. When you play this Pokemon, you can put 2 damage counters instead of 3, where Crobat puts 3. So we're just going to be flying around, and if we do run into like a Suicune or a Pyroar, and we play Surprise Bite, and then we have another Surprise Bite, we could use, Muscle Band and hit Skill Drive, for the knockout or something rather. So we'll have to wait and see what we can do with that, if in case we run into Pyroar or Suicune and Sigilyph. Now, the aspect of choice is going to be Computer Search. This way we can just discard 2 cards from our hand and just be a little more consistent with drawing the cards we want to draw. We have Escape Rope, one of these. Once again, our Pokemon, our attackers we've got some pretty big attackers here with big retreat costs, minus the Bats and Hawlucha. So the Escape Rope could be pretty useful. We got Professor's Letter, one of these, 1 Repeat Ball. I decided to play this. That way we can, repeat for just about anything we want instead of, maybe, using a different kind of Pokeball out there, but it's a pretty good consistent card. We got Silent Megaphone, one of these. We got 1 Switch, again, with the heavy Pokemon. 3 Ultra Balls, 3 VS Seekers, just to get the support cards back into your hand. And as for our support line, we got AZ, one of these. We got AZ mainly just for the Crobat line. That way we can put them back up into our hand and go on our merry way. We have Culver's here, one of these is for draw support. 3 Karinas, 1 Lysander, 1 Lysander's trump card. Typically we don't really run into these scenarios where we're going to deck out, but with strong energy being nearly half of the energies in our deck, if our opponent plays a lot of enhanced hammers, there's really no way to get strong energies back into our deck besides using Lysander's trump card. We have 1 N, and subbing the last N we have Professor Birch's observation, and then 4 Junipers, and that's it for our support line. We have Fighting Stadium, 3 of these, just a good stadium counter, and of course we need it to battle against the other EXs, giving the extra 20 damage with Fighting Stadium. We have Muscle Band, 3 of these, 5 fighting energies, and then 4 strong energies rounding out the deck. So again, you know, with only 5 fighting energies and 4 strong energies, we really rely probably on not. We're kind of banking that our opponent doesn't have a big energy disrupting deck, but this is pretty energy efficient in itself. Landers needing only 1 energy. Basically, most of our Pokemon here only needing 1 energy to attack. So I'm pretty excited for this deck. This is a longer deck analysis than usual, but without further ado, let's go ahead and see this Lando Crobat in action on Pokemon TCG Online. Okay, looks like we're going against Sivmet. I don't know. I'm not too sure if I can pronounce that correctly. But apparently my opponent has a Lightning and Psychic deck. This very well could be like some kind of, I'm not sure. But we start off with 2 Zubats, and we do have a Golbat in our hand, as well as a Karina. So, you know, whatever happens here, I think we're going to be playing a Night March deck. That's my assumption. We saw Lightning and Psychic. That could very well be a Night March deck, but we'll have to wait and see. So my opponent has the black and white sleeves here, reminiscing the black and white days, and indeed we are playing against a Pumpkaboo. It's gonna be an interesting deck. So I think what we want to do is just go out and be aggressive. That might be the plan. We see the Mew, and it'd be nice if my opponent retreats you know, the Mew, and retreats the Pumpkaboo into the Mew. That would be very convenient for us. That way we can go ahead and use Karina for the Hawlucha, retreat into the Hawlucha, and hit the Mew for 60 damage. That's a 2-hit knockout. But my opponent would just need, if he can get a Joltik on his bench and a Dimension Valley, then my opponent would only need an energy in the next turn to basically knock us out. But we'll have to wait and see. Wow, we even see the Ultra Ball getting rid of a Joltik, a Lampent. We see 2 Lampents already with the Battle Compressor, and the Pumpkaboo already gone there. We see the Joltik at the bench. We see a Bicycle and an Acro Bike. So my opponent really enjoys playing item cards. As we can see, this would be a pretty tough time battling against something like perhaps a Seismitoad deck. We see the Mystery Energy there, most likely for things like Pumpkaboo to retreat, or, you know, for Mew to attack. Sadly for us, we don't play any enhanced hammers, so, you know, if we run into other opponents with you know, using special energies and whatnot, that'll be pretty difficult. And there we go, my opponent's just flying through his deck, playing 2 Bicycles and an Acrobite, a couple of Battle Compressors, 3 of them already. Well, this Battle Compressor was used to discard the other Battle Compressor, including a Joltik and a Pumpkaboo. So my opponent has a Pumpkaboo in play and a Joltik on the bench, meaning that my opponent only has 1 more Pumpkaboo and 1 more Joltik, basically being saved for something else. So what I want to do here is, I mean, definitely we're going to go with the Karina, I would suppose. And we could do Landorus here and kind of risk taking a hit. We only have 1 Hawlucha, which we can use later. We could use Lucario, and but we're weak against Psychic, so we can't exactly do that either. So we'll go ahead, we'll get the Landorus into play, and I'm going to just play it slow. We could use the Escape Rope, which I don't mind. That way we can get a hit at the Mew, or we can get a hit on the Joltik and knock it out. So we're not going to knock out the Pumpkaboo by any means. So if we do, right now my opponent has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, hitting us for 140. With a Muscle Band, if he has it, it would be 160, and with another Night Marcher, it would be 180. So that would be a knockout, which I I wouldn't want to see. But I'm going to take my chances here, and I'm going to go for it. So let's go ahead. I'd rather chip away, I suppose, at the Mew than anything else. So let's go ahead. We'll go with this, and I'm going to play the Landorus here. Let's go ahead. We'll play the Escape Rope. And if my opponent sends out Joltik, we'll just knock it out. If my opponent sends out the Mew, we'll just take a hit, and then we'll also knock out the Joltik anyway. That would be the game plan. I'm going to see. So here we go. The Joltik is in play, which that's fine with me. I will most likely just knock it out. And I mean, my opponent would have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 Night Marchers. My opponent would need another Joltik in play if my opponent wants to use the 1 energy attack. But we're gonna go ahead and let's go with the Pumpkaboo here. That way we can guarantee a knockout whether or not my opponent chooses the Pumpkaboo or chooses the Mew. So we see the Pumpkaboo, that's fine too. That way, most assuredly we will knock it out if my opponent doesn't do anything here. We could see a DCE drop and a Muscle Band. That would actually knock out our Landorus, but I guess we'll take 2 prizes. We'll take 2 prizes, and he'll take 2 prizes because we have a Karina here and an Energy. But my opponent doesn't do anything else, so I suppose what we'll do now is we'll just play this here, and we'll put 2 more damages on the Mew EX. I'm going to go ahead and I guess I'll just bench this Landorus here. Once again, I don't want to bring out the Lucario since we're weak against Psychic. That would be an easy 2 prize there for my opponent. Let's go ahead. We'll get the Repeat Ball. That way we can get another Crobat into play. And there we go. So here we go. We got the Hawlucha. I'm going to go ahead. We'll even play this here. That way we can retreat into the, or we'll switch into it if we need to. But for now, let's go ahead. We'll get the Golbat into play. And we're just going to soften up the Mew over here. If anything, we will hit it for another 30. Oh, I forgot. My opponent has the resistance, but that's all right. Right now, the Mew is in knockout range for the Hawlucha. And oh, wow, we see a Lysander going over there, but that's okay. What we can do is we can actually go switch into the Golbat and kind of just swoop across. We'll slowly chip away at the Pumpkaboo and the Mew, or we can just switch into the Landorus and knock out the Joltik. My opponent actually discards the Joltik and also the VS Seeker. Little does my opponent know that we have a Ultra Ball in hand and also a Switch. But, okay, so we see the Mew over there. I'm just going to go ahead and switch into the Landorus. I think that's probably the best choice. I mean, we can switch into the Golbat, but, yeah, you know what? Let's see, we're only hitting 1 on the Pumpkaboo, and we're not actually knocking out the Mew EX. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to do a Supercross, right? So that way we'll slowly chip away at the Mew EX over here as well. And I mean, even if I use the Landorus and I would hit 30 for the Mew EX over here, it would still take 2 hit knockouts. So right here my opponent just passes the turn, and you know what? Oh boy, this is devastating for my opponent. We're going to go with the Karina. Let's go for the Karina for a Landorus, I suppose. And we're going to go ahead and let's grab the Muscle Band, I think. Let's see, what's this Mew at? This Mew's at 40, so I won't be able to knock out that Mew anyway. So I'm going to go ahead and grab a Computer Search. In the next turn, we should be able to just discard everything and go for a Juniper. So I'm not going to play the Computer Search now. If my opponent ends us, that's fine with me. So let's go ahead. We'll go for a Supercross. Again, we'll knock out the little Pumpkaboo. And right now, the Mew over here is in knockout range. So if my opponent brings out the Mew, I think what we can do is just Lysander out this Mew, and I don't know, we'll have to see. So either way, I should be able to knock out this Mew here. If I just retreat into the Landorus, I'll knock it out and put another 30 on the Mew over here. Oh, never mind, we see the DCE drop on the Mew EX over here, but that's I don't know how I feel about that for my opponent. My opponent's already used the supporter for the turn in the Sycamore, so my opponent will only be taking 1 prize from the Golbat, which I'm not too concerned about. So let's go ahead. We will play the Landorus EX, and we'll even play the Crobat, which will knock out the Pumpkaboo over here. So let's go ahead. We'll do that, and I guess we'll even go for discarding a couple of these. I might as well. I'll just bench the other Landorus. I mean, it can get Lysandered out, true, but let's go ahead. We'll just get the Juniper here, and I mean, it didn't matter if I go for a Juniper or a Colress at that point, so let's go ahead. We'll counter the Stadium, and we get to even play an energy here. We're going to hang on to it, depending on what my opponent Lystanders out. We do have VS Seekers, but I'm going to go ahead. I'm just going to hang on to that, and then we'll knock out the Pumpkin Blue over here. So there we go. We take 3 prizes that turn. And wow, too bad we don't have space for another Zubat. My opponent plays a Acrobite. Definitely can knock out the Landorus here, but you know, that's okay. What we'll do is we'll just play a Strong Energy onto the Hawlucha, and we'll play for the VS Seeker, for the Karina, for a Muscle Band, and that would actually do 100 damage. Actually more, we'll do 120 damage. That'll one-shot the Mew. And there we go. My opponent was able to discard an Acrobite, or Acrobite. I don't know what. Actually, I'm not too sure what my opponent discarded. We see a Sycamore. We counter that with a Dimension Valley. And here is the Mew being able to knock out the Landorus EX if my opponent does have a Night Marcher. If not, my opponent will have to end up using a Skill Dive, which could be pretty devastating. But as of right now, I don't know. I really don't see anything happening here. Both our Switch and Escape Rope is in the discard pile, so we're kind of stuck using Landorus here. And, I mean, I suppose we already have a Karina in there. We might as well just go play the Karina. We have another VS Seeker that we can use to get another like tool card or something. We'll grab the Muscle Band here, and I mean, yeah, we can always grab another Muscle Band, but for now we'll just put the pressure on the Mew and see what my opponent does here. My opponent's is pretty thin right now. Oh, we see another energy drop on the Mew EX. Not sure what my opponent can copy here besides a Skill Dive. Even with a Muscle Band, it's only doing 50 damage. My opponent could have attacked the bench, perhaps, but nonetheless, that's it. That's the game. Let's go ahead. We'll just go for a Land's Judgment anyways. Hit it for 210. That was merciless. I apologize for being so rude. I don't know, but I probably didn't need to do that. Oh, man. Okay, so we were able to take the victory there. You know what? This deck was so much fun to play and so good. I'm going to play another match here on Pokemon TCG Online. Looks like we're going against Botino, and it is a Fire and Lightning deck. I wonder what we're up against here. We get to go first, but sometimes you don't want to go first. But you know what? In this case, we do. Even though we're playing a Landorus deck, we want to go first because we get to use Zubat and potentially evolve first. So that's kind of the plan there. And also it works for our opponent. We don't want our opponent to evolve right away either. So this works out very well for us. We get to play a Landorus right now, and we can even get the Muscle Band going for us. But you know what? Right now I'm going to go for a VS Seeker. I'd rather get more Pokemon into play than anything else. We do have a Lysander, so you know what? Or not Lysander, we do have an N and a Juniper, so I'm going to go ahead. We'll just grab the Muscle Band now. I'd rather see my opponent play the Muscle, play a Star on the Megaphone early in the game rather than later. So we're going to go ahead and we'll just end the turn here. My opponent can definitely, pull something off. Maybe my opponent is able to... Actually, I should have retreated the Zubat, knowing that my opponent can do something like Blacksmith this turn and hit us with a Live Coal plus Muscle Band. That would knock out our Zubat. So I made a mistake here by not retreating, and I may regret it. But even if my opponent knocks us out, I should be able to knock out the Litleo and put 30 damage on this Litleo. But seriously though, the Zubat, I should have retreated, because it's just too risky for a 40 HP Zubat out there. We see the Mega Manectric and a Switch get discarded. My opponent probably going for perhaps the Pyroar. That's interesting. What I'm going to do then, for sure, knowing that my opponent already has the Pyroar, I'm going to actually end my opponent. And so yeah, kind of don't want to play. I don't want to invest too many strong energies, but you never know if my opponent plays Enhanced Hammers. So at this point, I might as well play it, and I'm going to go ahead and end my opponent. I don't want to see my opponent do anything where, he plays the Pyroar, and you know, I'd rather have a shot at disrupting his hand than you know, not disrupting anything at all. So we do get a Crobat, but we don't get the Golbat. We do have the VS Seeker we can always play, and play for something like an Ultra Ball, and then just use it to evolve and put 20 more damage on this Leo, and then we can potentially even try to retreat if we can get into a VS Seeker, or we can get into a switch. If we can top deck a switch, we're definitely going to VS Seeker for the Karina. But the chances of top decking a switch or something like, oh boy, we get end anyways. There goes our VS Seeker plan. So if my opponent does not get a Pyroar here, I will definitely knock out the Leo and put some pressure on the Manectric over here. We see a Professor's Letter. I might be going for a Lightning Energy and a Fire Energy, but nope, we just see 2 Fire Energies. We could have seen something like another Ultra Ball and then a Blacksmith, but my opponent already played an end, so we shouldn't expect to see a Blacksmith this turn. I mean, yeah, unless my opponent was able to get a Magnezone out from, what was that, Plasma Storm. Okay, all we see here is a Lit Leo. We do have the Zubat here. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to play the Hawlucha for the free retreat. I'm going to hang on to my Stadium. There's really no point having the Stadium. We do have the Switch here, which we can always utilize as well. It's a bummer we couldn't get any of our Golbats into play, but I'm going to go ahead. We'll just play the Hammerhead, and definitely need to put pressure on the Lit Leo. My opponent most likely has the Pyroar this turn, so we do have the Golbat, which we can evolve into. My opponent definitely can play the Blacksmith this turn and put a lot of pressure on us by hitting us for potentially 90 or maybe even 110 damage. If that's the case, then I mean we can retreat by using Switch. Thank goodness my opponent didn't play an N, disrupting our hand anymore. So right here, my opponent most likely drew into the Pyroar. I'm expecting to see the Pyroar this turn. Here we go. We see the DCE, and we could just see a Roar. That could work too. But all 4 of my Pokemon on the bench have free retreat, and I don't know, maybe my opponent has played the DCE so that my opponent can retreat the Lit Leo. But never mind, we see a computer search, most likely going for the Pyroar. Wow, to think my opponent burned through that many resources to get his Pyroar into play. I feel like it's one of those days where you just can't draw into the card you really need. And we even see a Silver Bangle. Oh wow, my opponent is going all out here, going down to a 0 hand size to play the Pyroar. And wow, okay, so my opponent is down to a 0 hand size, which means what we can do, here, folks, is definitely we'll play the bat here. We'll even put some damage onto there. And right now, I mean, we can swoop across and and do that, but that's really not ideal. So what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna switch into the Landorus, and I mean, I'm gonna chip away at the Manectric on the bench, right? So my opponent can use 90 damage twice. I think I'm okay giving up 2 prizes, as long as we're definitely slowing down here too. So my opponent can definitely do that. I'm gonna go ahead. Might as well play the Fighting Stadium. Just thin that out. We have 2 more left in the deck, and here we go. We do get. Let's see here. We will get knocked out, but the Manectric here will most likely be in the danger zone. So let's go ahead. We will go for the let's see. I'm gonna hang on to these things here. I'm gonna get rid of the Zubat. I think that's not really needed here at this point. Let's go ahead. We'll get the Crobat here. What I really need, right? So let's go ahead. We'll damage this guy. What I really need here is an energy, right? So that way we can just go for a skill dive and take out the Pyroar. But for now, let's go ahead. We'll just chip away at the Manectric. So I'm sacrificing Landorus so we can buy a turn. My opponent would have knocked out the Hawlucha and then knocked out a Zubat anyways in these next 2 turns anyways. So my opponent's down to 1 card. I'm gonna go ahead. We'll just Hammerhead, chip away at this one. My opponent can definitely knock out our Landorus here, take 2 prizes. But what I'll do is I'll probably just end my opponent. My opponent would have 4 cards, but maybe I'll either end my opponent or play a Colress to draw into a couple more cards. my Crobat definitely is in a very dangerous spot here, mainly because you know, my Crobat is weak against lightning, but I mean, you know what? I'm not too worried, not too entirely concerned. Let's go ahead. We'll go with the Colress, so we'll go with that. I actually don't want to give my opponent more cards. We see a Crobat that works very well. We even see the AZ, so let's go ahead. We're gonna knock out. Oh boy, we don't have it. See, I'm gonna actually get rid of the AZ, and I'm gonna go search for an energy card. There we go. We got the energy. We'll play that here, and let's go for the skill dive. We will knock out this Pyroar. Get that Pyroar out of the way. My opponent will need at least 2 more turns to get the Pyroar out. If whatever my opponent does here to knock out the Crobat, I will just respond and knock out the Manectric. We will have another Crobat in our hand, or in the next turn into play, and we even get a Muscle Band, which we can use. That's our 3rd Muscle Band. All 3 Muscle Bands are out, so we are definitely in danger of seeing something like a Starlight Megaphone getting rid of all of our Muscle Bands. But we have the Juniper here. At some point, we can always draw into the Lysander's Trump card. We have 2 strong energies in play, an energy in the discard, and 1 energy on our active here. We see an N. Oh, that is devastating. Say goodbye to our Crobat. Didn't get a chance to evolve our Golbat here. But, you know, we're still in a good position. Even if my opponent benches a Lit Leo, we should be able to hit it for another 30. And then all we need to do is wait to get our Crobat out. We got an energy here, which we can play onto our Golbat. And we just got to wait for a Crobat, and then, you know, we'll play it and then put another 30 there. And then, you know, over time, we'll just chip away at it. Plus, we have a Muscle Band we can use too. So the math actually works out pretty well for us. My opponent plays a Evil Soda. Oh boy. So, you know what? We're just going to take the win here. I'm going to retreat. I'm going to play this here. We'll go for a Land's Judgment. Yes. And there we go. 460 damage. Taking the win on this Manectric EX. And boy, that was pretty exciting. Now, I know I typically go with 3 matches, but you know what? My voice is getting a little coarse here. I might need a drink of water soon. And yeah, but this was a ton of fun. We gotta thank Carby for giving us this deck suggestion. I have seen a couple of Crobat Landorus decks out there. I think Crobat Landorus is still a fun deck to play, even in the midst of Primal Clash and all these other new and up-to-date cards. So yeah, let me know, what do you guys think of this deck? Let me know in the comments below what your thoughts are, some things you want to change, some things you want to add, and whatnot. If you guys have any other deck ideas, please shoot them my way, and I'll see to if I can build them. And I'll most assuredly have some more Pokemon TCG online content for you guys soon. Hope you guys have a good day. Please subscribe if you guys haven't. And I'll see you guys later. You guys take care. Have a good day. Goodbye.